Hello everyone. Welcome again to CEO Diaries. I'm looking forward, and I can see people already joining me across our platforms, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. We are live. So welcome. I'm of course going to be your host for this session. My name is Lauren Dallas. I'm CEO, hence the name, and co-founder of Future Females. And if you are joining, and I can see a few people are, please do say hi. This is really intended to be an authentic sharing session, taking you behind the scenes of what it's like in my business. But I know most of you are also on your own entrepreneurial journey. So I'd love to know who you are. And then as we go through this session, and it's a different topic every week, I'd love to know your own experiences and your advice. One of our key values at Future Females is community driven and collaboration. Well, that's two, not one. But what's important about that is that you can add as much value to each other as I can. So I see myself, of course, as the one you can hear, but also as the facilitator of a conversation between you. So please do comment as much as possible. Let me know where you're joining from and share, because this is a pretty freaking juicy topic today of bootstrapping for your business. So I can see we have Flora on. Amazing. Hi, Flora. Karina from South Africa, Christy. So I'm currently sitting in Bondi Beach in Sydney, Australia, which is a third of where this is tomorrow for the first time. So very excited to hear her plans, but also share all of that with you if anyone else is tuning in from around me. Hello, Cynthia, and hello, Anandi. Amazing. Before I get into the actual topic of today's CEO Diaries, which I've had fun thinking about what to share with you, because wow, money and funding for your business, there are highs and there are crippling lows, and I'm going to cover both. But before I do, if you haven't joined CEO Diaries before, there is a prize for interaction. We are going to pick, I'm going to pick in this scenario, one person who interacts or shares authentically or asks a really good kind of prompting question. And I'll announce it at the end of the session, which you can expect will be around 30 minutes. You can choose your favorite piece of Future Females merchandise or the piece you don't already have, and we will send it right out to you. So I will pick the winner and announce it at the end. Okay, let's get into it. I see Anandi saying, I think the topic of money in business is so important. My gosh, we could talk about this for hours, right? Money mindset, particularly as women, the different constructs we've been brought up with, the different beliefs, right? Money is the root of all evil. Like, more money, more problems. I will not sing it this time, but if you catch me at one of our events, I'm sure that I will. But today I want to talk about money in business. And if you're interested in talking more about personal financial growth, money mindset, abundance mindset, we can definitely cover that as well. You can ask questions, but perhaps it's a whole session in itself. And Annie's saying, I'm just going to pop this up. I think we also feel shame when we don't know how to work with our money. Absolutely. So I just want to, for those of you who haven't been, part of Future Females since the start, I want to share just a little bit of our journey so that you can see where I'm coming from. I've actually started 5 businesses, all bootstrapped. So this topic today is something I am very well versed in. On the flip side, I have worked as an active fundraising consultant and growth consultant for different tech startups. So I've also been sitting on the other side of the fence and chosen not to go that route in my own businesses. So I'm excited to talk a little bit to both. Where I want to start is Future Females, right? We know that our community is very motivated by impact. And let me know if this is you. Personally, I'm not that fazed by money. I know that I need a minimum threshold to enjoy the lifestyle that I desire, but anything above that, I'm like, okay, I'm just going to keep investing it back in. And so when I thought about how we started Future Females, it was me and my co-founder, Serena, we really just wanted to have impact. We started in August 2017, and everything we did for the first 5 months was completely free. Our events were free. Our social content was free. Everything was free to our users, which meant all of the expenses were being personally covered by ourselves. And Serena had just completely pivoted her life from working in factories to entering startups. I had just moved countries, which is not cheap, let me say. And I was running a different business on the side, which was also, taking investment. So we didn't have a lot of financial resources. However, we were resourceful. And so we were able to start Future Females and hustle with partners, with sponsors to run these events. So for the first 5 months, right, we launched in Cape Town. We quickly expanded to both Berlin and Namibia. So we had a business in 3 countries that didn't have a single revenue stream. But the feedback was amazing. And that's really what fuels someone like me and probably a lot of you. So we kept going, but we really quickly found ourselves feeling drained. And when I say drained, I'm talking about everything, right? Financially drained, funding these businesses, emotionally drained by doing all of this work and having to obviously also sustain ourselves by doing other work. And we felt very stuck. And I remember we sat with a mentor. We were like, oh, look how amazing. We've grown so much. Look at all the things we're offering. Look at all this great feedback. And we were like, but we don't know how much longer we can keep doing this, because if it keeps growing, what are we going to do? How are we going to live? And he was like, what are you doing? You are representing female empowerment. And one of the really key ways to do that is to be financially independent. I use that word, and I don't know how you guys feel, but I'd love your input. I'm not keen on financially free. I feel like it's a bit of a buzzword, and this passive income, you have to have really non-passive income before you get to passive income. So I prefer financially independent. You don't have to rely on anyone else, a boss, a partner, whatever it is, a family member. You can, of course, if you want to, but you don't have to. You own your own life. You can design your own future and build towards that. That is what financial independence means for me. And as Natty says, financially independent and time-free. Love it. So we were speaking to him about this, and he said, you need to represent that. What kind of example are you setting for the women in your community if you're not charging for the value that you're putting out there? So we started charging for our events first. If any of you are new to our community, we started as a purely events business, physical events in our chapters all around the world, of which we've now launched 56, which is super exciting. And Nandi, who I keep referencing, who is watching on Facebook, is actually one of our ambassadors who hosts our events. So we started charging. And the first event we ever charged for was our biggest event in terms of turnout ever. It was amazing. We had 95% of people show up. Instead of when it was free, we had like 45 to 50%. So I just wanted to share that because my journey into business, profitability, revenue, all of that has been possibly one that you can really relate to, because I didn't necessarily understand. And for me now, I firmly believe, so Future Females is a for-profit. Some people think we're a not-for-profit. We do have a not-for-profit arm where we do a lot of development work. But as a whole, Future Females is for-profit. And I like to tell people that. And even though some people are like, oh, what? I'm like, no, because I don't believe in trading off profit for impact. Profit is the cash flow and the lifeblood of your business that enables the massive impact you want to have. So for me, the goals that I now have in business historically were always impact driven. Launch in another country, help one more woman, help a woman find her confidence and get the success story. But now it's money, because I need money so I can go launch in the next country. I'm like, the women in Egypt haven't yet heard of Future Females. What are they doing? I say that because one of my team members is there now. So I don't believe you should trade off one for the other. And it's something that women particularly so often do, consciously, but also subconsciously. So I know this is about bootstrapping. I'm going to get into practical things now, but I just feel like that is so important to share, because your services are not more attractive when they're free. You can, of course, do free work if you're in a new industry and you've never had a good testimonial, because let's be honest, we all need a little track record. So great, do one project pro bono in exchange for the testimonial, but then charge your worth, right? And then what do they say? Add tax, because we all have to pay tax. So it's got to come from somewhere. Karen, let me just pop this up. I think for a lot of female entrepreneurs, their businesses are their method of achieving financial independence. I know it is for me. Absolutely. So, I mean, Karina, it's great that you share that, because what I would hope for you, but what I see a lot of women I coach, and I love to coach, is that they don't have a financial independence plan. Or it's all about the business and not about themselves. I look at a budget for a business and I'm like, where are you? And they're like, oh, no, it's fine. I can work free for another 6 months. Then I'll add myself in. I'm like, well, then you're not building a business that's actually going to deliver your financial independence. I always see, like, are you building a business and then you're going to live the life that the business creates for you? Or are you going to design a life and the impact you want and then build the business that delivers that? So it's slightly different, but in my experience, now on my 5th business, it's a really significant one. If you say you're building for financial independence, what exactly does that mean for you? Does that mean you can take $10,000 out of your business every month comfortably, not by causing yourself more stress, because you don't want to trade those two things, but comfortably, and then build the business to deliver that? So, yeah, but thank you for sharing that. Leonara, let me pop this up. Been running my business since 22, and I'm only the fruits now at 25. Firstly, congratulations. That is amazing. I hope you are enjoying the fruits. And exactly as you're saying, it takes time. So I want to get into maybe the practicalities of bootstrapping. And I actually would love to ask you guys a question. Just let me know in the chat here. Are you bootstrapping? Are you funded? Are you grant funded? Maybe I can speak about that as well. Or are you looking to start your business and then kind of wondering what the best approach is for you? Cool. Okay. So I want to start with something very practical. And that is really figuring out, if you're in a job, when you can leave. And also, if you are bootstrapping, when is the right time to be investing in different things in your business, right? Because you need to firstly you need to sustain yourself. So you don't want to quit too soon. I'm going to say Americanized, but sorry to any Americans on, it's just the most clear word I can use. I really don't believe in that Americanized culture of you have to risk it all to be a really true entrepreneur. I'm like, hell no. Fund your business from your job for as long as you have energy to do both. Fund it until you can comfortably cover your salary and then quit your job. If your job is too hectic, and I've been there, then see if you can pare it down or perhaps take a freelance gig as well as building your business. My experience is that it does always take longer. Entrepreneurs, one of our common character traits is that we're super optimistic, which is amazing because it helps us pick ourselves back up after failure. But when it comes to financial forecasting, we actually need to err on the side of risk aversion. So expect it to take longer, expect it to cost more, and build in a buffer. It doesn't sound fun, but I've closed down 3 of my 5 businesses. One of them even went into liquidation. So I'm definitely speaking from some experience here. Let me pop this up because it's amazing, Leonara. I self-funded whilst I worked at Woolworths until I got it right, then funded during that time. Hell yes. Thank you. I love this. What an amazing story. Thank you for sharing that. Freelancing while trying to start my business, Karina. Amazing. There is nothing. I know that we all hear focus, focus, focus. If you don't focus, you can't succeed. But actually, I'm still not focused. Future Female still has 2 different arms and revenue streams, and I'm going to talk to that. But it's the only way that we've been able to bootstrap for 5 years. So, boy pillow, let me just pop this one up too. I'll cover a couple of questions. How do you work out your salary when income is still little? Yeah. So, this is a very real scenario that a lot of people are in. I think what's interesting is to understand, bootstrapping is doing things with the resources you have. It's not just about the money. So an exercise that actually we do with all of our founders that I work with in our business school, but also in our new platform, is an asset audit. So Boipelo, something I would recommend to you is create a table. If you jump on the waitlist, this is a free tool that you'll get inside our platform also. But create a table of direct and indirect assets that you have access to. And then you're going to list your financials. So what do you have or what could you have each month? Indirectly, what could you have access to? Maybe you do have some family that could seed fund for you. I didn't, or I never took up that offer or opportunity, but so it's not essential, but some people do choose to go the family and friends route. But then list your technology, list your potential partnerships. Maybe you have a friend who's built up an amazing business with a thriving email list who would do you a favor in, the early stages and send your offer out. So really think creatively about the assets that you have, because it's not only about money. And then secondly, and what I will speak to is you can do things by educating yourself really cheaply and focus on profit first. So I'm going to get there. Okay, so the first thing is knowing how much money you need. I'm sure that sounds ridiculously obvious, but 2 key metrics that I would encourage you to track. One is, or to know, one is, what is your break-even point? Break-even is how much money do you need to cover your base expenses, including your salary or your time? That's an important thing to know because that's typically goal 1 in your business. That's the point at which I would say, amazing, quit your job. Let's see how much further we can push this. The second thing to know is your runway. Runway means how long can your business survive if you don't generate more money. So yeah, that's what it means. How long can you pay off all of your expenses and debtors and still exist? And then you calculate this in months. There's a lot of different advice here, like, oh, you need 6 months before you quit your job. You need 12 months. I can't give you a definitive answer because it depends on the business, but it also depends on your risk appetite. If you are someone who is like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to nail it in 3 months, and I'm going to figure it out if I don't, then cool, good for you. But I also know a lot of founders who are like, I'm going to build up 12 months of base so that I don't have to make decisions under stress, because that sucks, right? No good strategic decisions are made when you are weighed down by financial anxiety, particularly when it spills over onto the personal front, right? So I think that's the first thing that I would share. I'm just going to check on these comments here. Cynthia, good question. How do you calculate runway if you haven't started your business yet? Cool. Cynthia, let me know what type of business you're thinking of building so I can maybe get a bit more specific. But something that is important to do is to have a budget. I would say if you're not going for external funding, you don't necessarily need a financial model, which is typically like 3 years long and actually is more about a positive story than perhaps the conservative reality of a business, if you are going to funders. But I would encourage you to have a budget. So if you are really like, this is the first time and it's a totally different industry to where you've been operating, so you don't have a clue about forecasting your expenses, firstly, don't feel bad. Secondly, find someone who is in that industry who can perhaps help you. So Cynthia, you're saying a candle making and essential oil business. Amazing. So you're going to have 3 things to consider. One is, of course, your revenue, how much you're going to sell for. So you want to benchmark. Again, this budget template I'm walking you through 3 segments is in the portal that we're launching. So if you're not on the wait list, jump on, because I'm going to explain it, but I want to actually give it to you so you can do it. So you'll have 3 things to consider. 1, revenue. How many do you think you can sell and at what price? The easiest thing to do here is to benchmark against competitors in your market. And then are you going to be slightly more premium than them, or are you going to be slightly more cost effective? The second thing is called your cost of goods sold. Sorry, some of you are probably very familiar with this, but if you're not, like, it's really valuable. I date an accountant, so this is how I spend my Friday nights. So I'm glad to spend my Thursday evening or Wednesday morning or Wednesday evening for me talking about this. So second thing is cost of goods sold. This is for each one that you sell, what is your hard cost? So what is the cost of the time needed to make the individual candle? What is the cost of the wax, the wick, the packaging, the printing, anything else, the shipping? So cost of goods sold are the expenses that have to be incurred to deliver a full product to your customer. So they're the first two things to research or speak to someone about. And then the third are your other or more general business expenses. So probably your fixed and variable. You can think of COGS more as variable and the other expenses more as fixed. Do you have an office? Do you have a virtual assistant on a retainer? Do you have a domain that you're paying for monthly? Any other expenses? And just map out that budget. And that's going to help you know what is my world when I start my business looking like. The reason why I say you don't need a 3-year financial model is because everything changes, right? I can't even do a financial model for Future Females for 3 years that I would hand on heart say is accurate, because who the hell knows? This world is insane. We didn't even dream of COVID 3 years ago. So I would say a 12-month one is good. And then set a time in your calendar every month to review and change, because probably what you forecast in month 1 won't be what actually happens. And that's fine. This is a working document, but you're going to update it. And then every month you'll get more accurate. Cool. Okay. I'm glad that helps. Okay, let me check the other questions here. Please let me know if you have questions about budgets. Otherwise, I want to get on to bootstrapping, i.e. keeping costs low. And then I want to speak about different funding sources. So just so you know where I'm headed. Okay. Working on 2-year plan now. Budgeting makes things clear. Amazing, amazing. Okay, great. So the second thing, well, I've talked about a lot of things, so not let me say second, but the second takeaway that I want to leave you with is if you are self-funding, always consider how you can do things the most cheaply. And I know that sounds insane, but for example, you can go and get a website done by someone who is an expert for 30, 50,000 Rand. I've seen this happen. I've seen people hire designers and have this beautiful website, but it doesn't do what it needs to do. And your website, the job it should be doing is selling your business for you, collecting leads, driving actual sales. So the other thing you do is hire a freelancer, probably a bit more cheaply. Or you can educate yourself and build it yourself. I built Future Females website. Oh my gosh. Now when I look at it, I'm like, ugh. If any of you remember that, I am sorry. But it was free. It was on WordPress. I bought the domain. It was $9. And I built this site myself. And you know what? It wasn't the most gorgeous thing in the world, but it did what it needed to do. It kickstarted us, and it allowed me to still have the money that I didn't spend to do other things with. So always think about how you can do things free. The second thing that I would really encourage is consider trade exchanges. Right? We're all part of an amazing community of female entrepreneurs. And I mean in the world, obviously also within the Future Females ecosystem, where people have different strengths and different weaknesses. I remember that I was given an iPhone by someone who was like, I think you might need this in your business, because I wanted to do WhatsApp marketing. And I met a videographer whose specialty was doing, and this was 6 years ago when it was more surprising what I'm about to say. He recorded all of his videos on iPhone. He did all of his editing of his small movies on iPhone, but he couldn't hire staff because he couldn't afford staff who had the technology. So he needed to provide them the iPhone. So I was like, well, I have the phone and I have absolutely no idea how to record good videos. So we trade exchanged, and I rented him essentially the phone, and his exchange was 4 videos a month, 1 each week for me. So consider who you know, or even just jump right now into our Facebook group or into the platform link where we're going to have a discussion forum called Needs and Leads. Literally anything you need, you'll pop in And people who can help you with that, either personally or by providing you an introduction, will offer you that lead. So there's no shame, and as Anandi is saying, there's no shame in starting small, free, and simple. And there's no shame for asking what it is that you need help with. You know that I've started a few businesses now, and this is the first one where I've had a co-founder. And actually, if I put down some of the, if I'm really critical about why the previous businesses didn't succeed, there's a few reasons. One, I just really didn't love. The other, I got exhausted because I was selling my time rather than building something scalable. But also, I think my ego was stopping me from really seeking help. I didn't have teams in 2 of the 3. I didn't have a co-founder, as I said, and I spent a lot of time learning specialty skills that probably someone else could have helped me with in like 15, 30 minutes. So, Karina, I love this. Doing an energy exchange, that phrasing is beautiful. Consider a trade or an energy exchange with people in the community. One of the beautiful things about entrepreneurship is we all know how hard this journey is as soon as you're in it. And so if someone needs help, I actually get so much pleasure. I'm in a needs and leads group for my mastermind, which is why I'm so excited to create it for all of you. And every time someone says they need something, I get excited because I can respond. So for any of you who maybe were like me and you're like, I don't want to ask for help, I'm struggling, but I don't want to show that because, it sucks to show that. Please do. Put the ask out there. The worst that can happen is no one replies. And then cool, we make a new plan, or you're exactly where you were. But as Anandi says, we're afraid if we ask, we feel like we're incompetent. I personally felt like asking for help or bringing in a team or a co-founder in these past experiences would take away some of the success I wanted to achieve for myself. And I share that because, it is what it is. A lot of us are ego-driven at some point in our lives, and we have to knock ourselves once or twice to get past it. But that's what it was for me, and that's why I'm really passionate about creating this connective platform for all of you. So you don't have to do what I did. Okay, so we've talked about the practicalities of really forecasting, doing your budgets, managing cash flow, estimating expenses, figuring out that break-even point and your runway. We've spoken a bit about being resourceful, doing what you can free, using the free open source digital tools that are out there for your business, learning things yourself. For example, don't outsource Facebook ads until you know how to do them. I've seen so many people get ripped off. I'm like, just learn a bit so that you can outsource it to someone and manage them effectively. I've also learned that the hard way. And then thirdly, your trade and energy exchanges with other community members. So then the third thing, the third takeaway that I wanted to discuss is funding sources. So, and let me just answer this for you, Karina. Will there be a resource on the platform to learn how to find a co-founder? Love this. So 2 places where you'll be able to do this. Firstly is in the needs and leads. But secondly, every week there will be a member breakfast. And this will be predominantly hosted by myself or my co-founder, Serena, sometimes both, sometimes other members of the Future Females team, depending on sometimes our members as well. It's really a sharing session. But one of the things we could do is a speed dating session where you could find your co-founder. So that weekly connection session is very flexible. So we'll take your feedback. So if you are interested in how to find a co-founder, Serena and I would love to share how we found each other. We kind of fell into it. So rather than how we found, how did we make it work, not knowing each other? And then facilitate that kind of introduction. So love this idea, Karina. Thank you. Definitely something we could do. Also, non-tando, just to pop this up because it's really powerful. I'm a lover of doing things by myself so that I can be fully accountable. Yeah, that's such a beautiful, beautiful phrase because yeah, I think, not to overshare personally, but something I realized last year when the Future Females team expanded so quickly is that actually I felt less accountable. And then in some of the functions where I just really let go, we actually saw poorer results. And the reality is, even if you hire, the person at the top is still responsible and they're accountable, and the people below are doing the work, but actually the final result is still on us, which is daunting but also very empowering. So I love that. Okay, so I'm going to talk about different funding sources as well. Please do ask me questions. This could go on for a long time, but I don't want it to. So I'm going to summarize for you and really share our approach. So as I said, Future Females is bootstrapped, self-funded. And so firstly, it was important for us to generate profit as quickly as we could. Being an events business, there's not a lot of profit. It really is for the love of bringing people together. My ambassadors will also vouch for that. Yes, we have financial sponsors. Yes, we love them, but they really help us curate more dynamic experiences for you. So we realized this as we kept expanding, running these events all around the world, and we still couldn't really sustain profitable growth in the business. So we started looking at other opportunities. My experience is in EdTech, hence the platform, because I've seen the impact that education technology can have. And so we decided we're going to launch a program. And that was our Future Females Business School. If you don't know, it's a 3-month program, and it's a kind of mid-price point. It's around $900. So for the South Africans, it's what, 13,000 Rand. So it's a sizable investment for people. So we weren't sure if people were going to pay for it, right? Particularly entrepreneurs, when you've got so many other things to consider. So instead of building out the entire 3-month course, investing our resources, my fiance is also in the program, delivering the accounting module, we decided we're going to sell it first to validate in the market. And if you are bootstrapped, even if you're not, I would heavily suggest this sequence. Sell first and then deliver. So what we did was just promote business school. We said, we're putting together a 3-month program. This is the outcome you can expect. This is some of the different topics we're going to touch on. If you're interested, apply. Every application, I spoke to the person one-on-one. I called them. I said, what is your business? Where are you based? What stage are you at? Like, can you really get value from it first? Because obviously I don't want to take money if I can't deliver value. And then I sent offers. And we had 35 people sign up for business school in cohort 1. Actually, it might have been 34. I misspoke still. And so for us, that was firstly enough validation in the market, because it's easy to say, yes, I want it, right? You send out a survey. Hey, would you like a business school? Of course, people are going to say yes, but not everyone that says yes is going to pay. So actual money on the table is, as you know, the best validation you can have. So that's what we focused on. These 34 people bought in with their own hard-earned money. And then we built out the program with them, getting feedback every step of the way. And this did a few things. One, it meant we didn't waste time and money building something that didn't meet the market. 2, we ended up with a much more relevant and impactful program because we developed it with our members. Every week we were like, what was that missing for you? Great, we're going to add it in. And then 3, we already had the money on day 1 to be able to sustain the team through the build and work towards our next launch. So I would say that was the most pivotal turning point for Future Females. So for you guys, if you're already selling, what is the thing that's generating the most profit, not just revenue? And how can you double down on that? And I'll talk about doubling down in a second. Or if you are in the awareness building stage of your business, amazing, but don't stay there forever, right? You might be reaching people, getting engagement, getting follows on Instagram, but a follow is not a customer. And there's a journey from one to the other. So sell as early as you can, as uncomfortable as it might make some people feel. You're going to learn so much. The first, when I moved to South Africa, the first selling activation that I did was a physical workshop. There were 20 people in the room. Oh my gosh, it was awkward. The workshop was great. I loved educating, but selling in person to 25 people, whew, I left and I was like, oh, thank God that's over. Not my normal reaction. Normally I'm like, yes, that was amazing. So I phoned every single person and it was so uncomfortable, but I got their feedback. I said, what was I missing? Why didn't you buy? And then the next time I did it was better. And then the next time I sold from stage at a summit and sold 40 in half an hour. So you can see how like it's going to keep growing for you. So then the second turning point, and to touch on other funding sources, obviously, you know, direct funding from your customers is important because it's also, you know, the direction you want to build your business in. Everything else can sometimes be a distraction. But the second thing, particularly if you have an impact-driven business, is partnerships. And this could be partnerships with government. A lot of you might know we work with the UK government, the Nigerian government, the Australian government, who are really interested in supporting segments of aspiring female entrepreneurs who can't afford to invest themselves in programs. So they fund us, and then we essentially fund those lower income women, because something I really firmly believe in is equal access to education and opportunity. We need to close the gap, right, rather than spreading it further apart. So they funded us. And that has helped us keep our business going, particularly through COVID. It was because these grants are typically long, 1 to 3 years. And while it is not for profit, so there's not, you know, we're not extracting money, it's lifeblood of an organization. It's helped us level up our content, learn more about our processes, keep our staff on board when we're having, you know, lulls between launches. So if you are impact driven, and particularly if you're in an emerging market, maybe you're in Africa or South America or Southeast Asia, look out for organizations like that who do grants. It could be government. It could be foundations attached to major companies, you know, KPMG Foundation, JP Morgan Foundation, or it could be corporates. For me, it's harder to work with corporates because my whole thing is like, quit your job and start your business. You're going to love life. But for you, perhaps you offer accounting services or VA services, and then working with a corporate might be a much more aligned fit. So I would always say, if you have a business that doesn't require massive capital investment early on, like maybe you're not building a tech platform, then see if there are grants or partnerships that can fund you and just give you that cash flow rather than maybe going to an investor, because grants don't require you to give away any ownership in your business, but equity funding obviously does, and loan funding attracts massive interest. So that's the path that we went down. And it's so exciting because we're working with crazy smart people with exposure to policy at the highest level. And really, for me, if we're going to drive gender parity, we're working from the bottom up. These partners are working from the top down. So like, how cool is that? So who is that person for you where that collaboration opportunity is just so aligned and beautiful? Okay. I am clearly very passionate about this, and we've gone a little over. So I'm going to pause and ask if you have any questions or if there's anything else you wanted me to touch on and get out of this session. The last thing I wanted to share is, you know, CEO Diaries is intended to be, obviously I've spoken a lot about historicals, but I want to just share where we are now, because that's the point, sharing exactly where we are in a given week behind the scenes of our launch. And the funny thing is, like, you know, we're building this tech platform and it's really freaking cool. If I say so myself, I'm obviously not developing it, but it's looking good and I can't wait to open the doors. But it has been a massive investment. It has been more expensive than we thought. We have lost and gained resources all along the way, which not only means recruitment expense, training expense, and then kind of ramp up time, which also delays things. But we have had delays. So, you know, before building this platform, we already had a membership, Founders Club. I know some of you were in it. We MVP'd for 3 years And we built that out of the box as well on WordPress. So it was very, very cheap to build. And through that, we were able to prove what is really moving the needle for our community and what isn't. Only now, 5 years in business, we're investing in building our own platform. There are massive risks to building your own thing. I want to say platform, but it could be an app, could be anything from day one. I would heavily encourage to prove it with what I call your minimum viable experiment, the fastest and cheapest thing you can do to prove that people want what you're offering before you then invest. The journey is a little longer. I mean, mine has been, but it's given me a lot more confidence. And it's my own money, so it's good that I'm confident. But even if it's an investor, right, you want to be confident in what you're using it for. Cynthia, great question. Do you have to regularly give feedback on your progress? Yes, definitely. That is definitely one of the, I don't want to say cons, because for me, it's very important to be internally reporting on the progress in any case. But yes, you do. And it can be quite laborious. If you are going for grant funding, if you're applying, my advice would be to always include a budget line item for monitoring and evaluation or for reporting, because it takes a lot of time. And if you don't have the skill set and it's quite in depth, a lot of people are going to give you their own frameworks for reporting, then rather outsource it to someone who's done this millions of times. So just work that into your budget. Okay, cool. To my anonymous Facebook user, sorry, your name is not pulling through. I wanted to know when you guys are going to launch. Sadly, I've been waiting for the platform for the resources. We are launching this month. I'm not going to say the exact date because I don't want it to change and to not be correct. But we are launching this month. I've spent about 4 or 5 hours this morning going through the final version of the platform with our developer. And I'm excited to offer you guys your spots and let you in. I think that you know that you need to be on the wait list, firstly, to get your invites. Secondly, we're going to be offering invitations from the top of the wait list down. So because we've built this, we're going to offer kind of chunks weekly. So if you're in the top 1,000, you'll get an offer on day one. If you're in the next couple of thousand, it'll be the week after, and we'll roll through like that, just so we make sure we're getting feedback and that we're not going to break anything and that we know what you're loving, and so we can do more of it. So yes, I'm loving these yays. I join you in the yay. I cannot wait. Okay, let's make this the last question. And then quick reminder, I am going to award a prize to someone who is currently tuned in. Nontando, when launching your business/budget, how can you set an offer that won't affect your budget? Great question. Okay, cool. So I always say that the best offer to test is something that doesn't impact your bottom line. So for example, a lot of people offer lead magnets. These are freebies to get people on their email list. We do this a lot. We're like, hey, join the wait list. And there's free rewards that you can get access to. We're giving away our playbook free, which is a book my co-founder and I have written, a micro book, but it's very good. We're giving away our launch training, which is $200. We're giving away a lot of things in exchange for email address. So this is very valuable because people don't want to be on your email list, right? But they do want the value you can offer. So when you do this, I always suggest pick something scalable that doesn't cost you, like a digital resource. What would not be an ideal lead magnet is a discount, unless you've proven that your increase of revenue is way more than what you would lose by giving the slight discount, or also free shipping, because shipping is not cheap. That also impacts your bottom line. So I would say try and pick an offer that doesn't cost you a lot. Second, try and pick an offer that's something like maybe quite exclusive that doesn't cost you per person. So instead of like 20% off, maybe it is a free launch event. Thirdly, if your community really does respond to discounts, then just make sure you've done that budgeting exercise we spoke about. What is your cost of goods? So you know your profit margin, so you're not going to offer a discount that's going to leave you in the red. Okay. Offered a lead magnet as a lead magnet on one of your platforms. Amazing. Love, love, love that. And then to answer your question, you can jump on the waitlist just by clicking in the caption. I see you're on YouTube, but whether you're on joining me on Facebook, LinkedIn, or YouTube, click on the link in the caption. You're going to go through to our waitlist page. Just pop your email in. There's nothing to pay or do and no obligation, but then you're on the list. So then you'll get updates, you'll get our freebies, and you'll also be able to earn a whole heap of rewards just by sharing the waitlist link with your community. So see Boy Pello saying you have 11,000 ahead of you. The way to move up the list is literally just, you can sign up again and you'll get your link, but it should just be in your inbox. You go to your status page, you have a unique link, and if you share that on your Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, email, wherever you do, you are going to get points that move you up the list and also earn prizes. So if you want to move up, that's the way to do it. Cool. Okay, so I'm going to award our prize winner for this session. So thank you. I've absolutely loved all of the conversation that's been going on. A quick reminder, the winner is able to select their favorite piece of Future Females merchandise. You can see all of the options in the shop on our Instagram profile. You can pick whatever you like, and we are going to mail it out to you. Yay. So our winner for today is, please give me a second to go up to her. If anyone can throw in a cheeky drum roll, that would be amazing. Okay, our winner is going to be Leonora. You are over on YouTube, tuned in. I don't know where you're based, but you have been sharing so much and asking really great questions through this entire session. Hopefully you're still on to receive your prize. So congrats. All you need to do is send us a direct message. So unfortunately, you'll need to jump onto a different channel. Jump onto Instagram is probably the easiest, @FutureFemales. Send us your email, and my team will organize. They'll share with you the options, and we'll organize to send you over whichever piece of merch you best love. So congratulations. And that's a wrap, guys. CEO Diaries for the week. Next week, we will be back at our usual time, which is midday, GMT +2, so Europe, South Africa. And yeah, on all of the channels that we're on now, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, and on YouTube. So I really look forward to connecting with all of you then. Awesome. Have a great day or evening and speak soon. Bye, everyone.